Hello, hello, hello. Okay, let's get into this. Let's get into Jay Z. So of course it's completely shocking, shocking, shocking. I'm shocked. Maybe you're not. I am shocked that we have another person accused of a horrible, horrible, horrible crime. And I really want us to talk about it more from just like watching because I don't want to make any judgments about what is happening because we don't have any proof, and especially in the case of Jay-Z where I I want to hold judgment because there's no proof right now. There's a victim who is saying that this happened to her, which we're going to believe, but we also have no proof. And it's just her word against his word. And so I think once we do get proof, we're going to be able to make a decision. But I think the conversation about how these high powered lawyers are going after each other is actually more interesting. And I don't want to be disrespectful of the victims and people who have been hurt and abused by these people, by their people they have accused. But I think that the one thing that we're not talking about is just this whole legal system and just all the different systems and the society that we kind of live in today, right? And what is acceptable, what's not acceptable. And yeah, that's kind of to me quite interesting. So we all know that Jay Z, of course, has been accused of R-ing a 13-year-old girl this was back in 2020 when he was 30 years old and she apparently was a 13-year-old girl. So let's read what they wrote about this case. So they said Jay Z and Sean Diddy Combs have been accused in a civil lawsuit of R-ing a 13-year-old girl back in 2000. And the lawsuit, which was originally filed in October and then refiled Sunday in New York, to add Jay Z to the list of defendants. It alleges that this victim, identified only as a woman who is now living in Alabama, was R by both men at a Video Music Awards after party. Now, I don't think the way it's written, music awards after party sounds like it was a party that was sanctioned by the Video Music Awards, but the way that I understand it, it was just a house party at Diddy's house, and it happened after the Video Music Awards. Now, back in 2000, is when this awards show happened. Jay Z, I looked at the music video awards ceremony. I didn't see Jay Z at that ceremony at all. He wasn't in any of the pictures. There was Diddy, Jennifer Lopez. She wore this white bandana thing with a very cropped top and like low-waisted jeans. Aaliyah was attending. She looked amazing, and what she wore is still today. You could wear exactly what she wore to that music awards today to any party. She was such a classic woman, right? Her hair was slick. She wore, I think they said, a Robert Cavalli dress, and literally that dress is a classic. You could put it on today and be well styled. LL Cool J was there. Britney Spears was a big star at the time. Destiny's Child attended, although they were not a headliner. They did have a video, and they did win an award for "Say My Name." I think they won like best dance video or something like that, or maybe it was Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez also won an award at that night at the Video Music Awards. The awards were hosted by the Keenan Ivory Win. I don't know, one of those Winans, whatever brothers that had In Living Color, and there was Bono. He attended. Giselle Bundchen, Little Kim, Cisco. Cisco attended that award with Lisa Ray as his date. And I tell you, you guys have to go look at Getty Images. You're going to see the picture, and you search for Video Music Awards 2000, and you're going to see there's a whole pile of videos. When you see Lisa Ray, who was dating, went with Cisco as her date, it's quite hysterical. I couldn't even make out Lisa Ray because she was so gorgeous. And I was like, what the hell is she doing with Cisco? But at the time, Cisco had the hottest song on the planet. It was the song called Dong, da dong, dong, dong. I don't know if you guys remember that song, but it was huge. There was also Eminem. He attended that, and he did his song Slim Shady, which was a huge bona fide hit. I'm the Slim Shady, and he and Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears, they were beefing, and yeah, and Sean Combs was there at the VMAs with Jennifer Lopez as his date. Jennifer Lopez's dad was there. I saw one sort of shot for him, but I looked for Jay-Z at this award show, and there was nothing. There was no photograph of him. There was no photograph on um on Getty's image. They did so. If you go to the video on YouTube, at a certain point in the video, the hosts do mention that he was there, and then they pan to the crowd, and it doesn't look like anybody that resembles um Jay-Z. It just looked it was actually like Busta Rhymes. What I never seen before, but I can't see the news on TV. Hmm. Um, so it was Busta Rhymes. But it's I don't know if Jay-Z's people removed him from that award show, but there's no evidence that he attended. And I think he did win an award, but it's he didn't come on stage for it. I don't know if they scraped the data or whatever, but um definitely I haven't seen footage of him being at that award show. And Aaliyah, who was there, attended with her brother. And so this there's even footage when they say, "Well, what are you gonna do after the award show?" And Aaliyah says, I'm gonna go to a party." Jennifer Lopez says she's gonna go to a party. Even Eve attended this award show, and she was with Stevie J, who looked so terrible. Oh my God, he was making these faces, and he had on like no shirt. And I think Eve looked embarrassed, to be honest. And she even said, "They're making me go to this party, and I really don't want to go." Maybe she was even tired, or who knows what she was not prepared to basically see. But so this thing, alleged crime, happens at this after party. Jay Z, whose real name is Sean Carter, referred to in the allegations in a statement as a blackmail attempt. So he believes it was a blackmail attempt. What's happening here? I didn't make this loop. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. This is supposed to loop. Okay. And The lawsuit alleged that the girl went to the VMAs in New York City without a ticket, hoping to get inside, but instead was invited to the after party by a limo driver who claimed to work for Combs. And according to some other statements, the guy basically said, okay, he's gonna like you to this girl. So maybe she didn't look 13, she just looked good to them. I don't know. But that's what she said happened. The limo driver drove her to the party where she was told to sign something that she believed was a non disclosure agreement, the lawsuit claims. While inside, the lawsuit alleges after attempting to talk to numerous celebrities, the plaintiff accepted a drink from one of the waitresses circulating the crowd. And the lawsuit claims that she began to feel woozy and lightheaded after drinking a portion of the drink. So she didn't finish it, she drank some of it, and then she started to feel lightheaded and woozy. And she went to find a place where she could go and lie down. And she went into a room that had a bed in it. And shortly after lying down, Combs, Carter, and an unnamed woman, uh, celebrity whom the alleged victim recognized, entered the room, the lawsuit claims. Okay, so there's originally when they filed this suit, it only talked about Combs. Now, according to Jay-Z, he said that he got what he's calling a blackmail letter, but Mr. Busby is saying that it was a simple standard uh, what was it called? A standard demand letter, okay? Not blackmail. They didn't ask for any money in it. But I think what Jay Z is saying, well, okay, I know you didn't ask, you may not have asked for money now, but this only follows ask, a demand only will follow with an ask for money or typically. So I think that's why he's saying, okay, I didn't pay. And then you wonder because the woman is remains unnamed. So, did the woman pay, or is the victim, the plaintiff, sorry, not interested in suing the woman? So, you kind of wonder, like, okay, did this woman pay? And if Jay Z had paid, then we wouldn't know about him and it would be all good, right? And could she sue could she sue someone without naming them? I guess you could. You could sue everybody without naming them, and then we would just be like witnessing, uh, or I guess uninterested. But I feel like they really want the public to be involved in this because everything is being put on social media, so we can't help but talk about this. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's what's happening. So anyway, let's continue. So while inside the lawsuit alleges after attempting to talk to numerous celebrities, so this I imagine this young girl is in where is this house? Is it in the Hamptons or is it in New Jersey? Because it's definitely not in Manhattan, right? Because the of the driveway and the things that she described. So she attempts to talk to celebrities. I guess does she talk to them, or is she saying that numerous celebrities can identify her, which would probably be very difficult because when if the way you look at 13 is so far from the way you look at like today, so who is really going to recall what she looks like? Anyway, the lawsuit claims she began to feel woozy because she drank this drink that the waiters were circulating, the waitresses circulating the crowd had. So was everybody on this thing that she was drinking, or it was just her that felt woozy, right? Anyway, so the alleged victim recognized the two guys, Sean Carter and Sean Combs, and there was a woman that she also recognized, but we don't name this woman. So the lawsuit then alleged that Carter held her down, right, and eyed her while Combs and the woman watched. then after it was Combs' turn, and Combs also eyed her while Carter and the woman watched. So that's kind of weird because what who is this woman that is watching this? Which is really strange. And of course, people are throwing out all kinds of names. Um, they are saying that it could be Beyonce, which I don't see that. It could also be Jennifer Lopez, which again, I don't know. I mean, nobody has accused her of anything, but that she was at the VMAs and she was dating Puffy at the time. And so people are throwing all kinds of names, but there's no proof to any of this. This is just all rumors, and none of this is true. Um, none of this has been proven to be true, right? It's just allege, allege, allege. Okay, let's continue. Although there were other guests at the party, no one appeared to take notice of the plaintiff's distress or attempted to help her, the lawsuit says. Okay? I got ahead of myself. So, anyway, so they're in this situation with, first Jay Z, then Sean Combs, who did our things to her, and this woman, one woman watching. Then, then they attempted to force her. Combs attempted to force the girl to perform, um, you know, with her mouth on him, but she managed to punch him and grab her clothes, wrap them around her, and run away, according to the lawsuit. And although there were other guests still at the party, no one appeared to take notice of the plaintiff's distress or attempted to help her, the lawsuit alleges. According to the lawsuit, after leaving the house and putting her clothes back on, the girl managed to run back to a gas station. Okay, so she runs to a gas station. Um, mm, that she saw on the way to the party, where a clerk noticed her distress and allowed her to use the phone. So, okay, so there's a clerk that they can probably go look for. I mean, this is almost 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago. Um, James says Jay Z and Sean are billionaires. I don't see them doing no dumb S like that. Well, at the time, they weren't billionaires. They were just maybe just regular millionaires. Um, so I don't know. That's not it doesn't, I don't know. But that's what this lady is saying. Um, yeah. So she then allegedly used the phone to call her father and have him pick her up. Now, I don't really want to get into that because that whole part to me seems funny. I don't know if because I don't have access to this case that was filed, but what happened after she called her father? When she called her father, wouldn't she say, she's 13 years old and the father knows her age? Not these other people probably didn't know her age, right? The father, wouldn't the father say, like, hey, what are you talking about? What, this happened to you? Or R, gang R by, and then these famous people who were already sort of millionaires, wouldn't that be like, okay, we're going to do something about that. We're going to call the police and go back to this party, which apparently is still going on. Wouldn't that be like a time to take action? But I'm not trying to judge the lady. I'm just trying to say, um, why, what happened, right? And of course, lots of things could have happened. Maybe she did say to her father, blah, 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 but the father was like, oh, why are you here? Or maybe she didn't tell the dad because she lied and she wasn't supposed to be at the VMA. She was supposed to be somewhere else, and now she's here. And so she didn't want to tell her father like what had happened, just because the father would be additionally mad, and she was already in trouble. And maybe she wanted to forget it. I don't know, and now she has the courage to come out. You don't hear me? Uh, you don't hear what I'm saying? Or are you talking about what the hell she talking about and speak up? Is that me you're talking about? Anyway, so what I'm saying is that this lady said that she managed to escape this party. She grabbed her clothes, wrapped her clothes around her, and then ran out to a gas station that she remembered on her way when she was driven up by this driver. Then at the gas station, the attendant asked her, "Please, can you help me? He noticed she was distressed. He gave her the phone to call her father because I guess she didn't have a cell phone, and her father came to pick her up. What I'm saying is that when her father picked her up, was there a conversation? Thank you, Tina. Tina Franklin says she hears me. She hears me. When her father picked her up, the father, knowing her young age, that she's only 13 years old, it's like, what the hell happened to you? Where were you? And wouldn't this be, I would think normally, right? Um, that the father would literally call the police then and there, especially because the party is still going on. And this girl is a minor, right? So would it would have to me be like, oh, he wants to protect his daughter. He would be outraged. He would be like, what the hell are you let's go get it. But that didn't happen. That did not happen. Or what happened, whatever happened after she was picked up by her father is not reported in this case. So we just get to you can hear me, Ruthella says. So we just get to, in response to the filing, Carter said that so according to the lawsuit, after leaving the house and putting on her clothes back, the girl managed to run back to the gas station. Okay, we said that. She runs back to the gas station, calls her father, and that's the end of the story. We don't hear about this until last or whatever, this October, whenever this thing was filed. We hear nothing about this until then. Okay, I'm speaking up. Granny said, "Ain't nobody trying to mess with no 13-year-old who can't even clean her. Yet ain't nobody here but a bunch of cute people. The oldest trick in the book, make up a fake name." Yeah. So what I really want us to talk about is the letter that, because I don't this lady has to prove her case, right? She has to kind of, maybe she has to have proof that this happens. And this man, Tony Busby, so I don't know, Tony Busby is a man from a lawyer from Houston, Texas, and he was the guy who also took Travis Scott to court because of the Travis Scott had this concert, and he was what happened at the concert, like the one guy was unalive at this concert, but there was like a mad rush and people were hurt. And they took this Tony Busby took Travis Scott, Apple, and other corporations to court over this thing, and he won money for his victims. He represented 100 people against Travis Scott and Apple and other corporations who were responsible for this concert. So his thing is he takes big corporations to court. And it's like, okay, so in January or whatever this year, nobody heard about him. All of a sudden, he puts out, and a lot of people believe that he went and solicited victims, right? Like no victim actually went to him, but he went and solicited victims. Like, for example, and I think that makes sense because that's the type of cases he does. He does like these class action lawsuits where they'll send you, if they have your, let's say for example like 9/11, if you were involved in 9/11, they'll tell you you could be entitled to an XYZ settlement, and let us know if you were there and maybe you'll have a case. And so people will call in and give their story. And then if the lawyer feels that you have a really good case, they will take on your case because they're not getting paid unless you get paid, right? And the lawyer will make like lots of money. Who on here was really following Jay-Z back then? Okay, I did. He was 1,000 times different from Diddy. Okay. How so? How was he different? I mean, I don't actually really believe that this is Jay-Z. I don't believe Jay-Z. I and not that I'm saying this woman is not telling the truth, because she could be telling the truth, but maybe she got her people wrong. Maybe she got her celebrities wrong, right? I don't know. Maybe she got her celebrities wrong. Because like I said, they said Jay-Z was at the 2000 VMAs. I haven't seen any footage of pictures, nothing of him at the 2000 VMA, right? So was he even at the VMAs, or did he and his team get himself scrubbed from the VMAs? And if you go to Getty's images where they take pictures of the VMA, Jay-Z was a big movie star at the time, right? Not movie star, a big celebrity at the time. Why is there no picture of him? They have pictures of Little Kim, they have pictures of Justin Timberlake, they have pictures of Cisco with Lisa Ray, they have pictures with Eminem, they have photos of Beyonce, the Destiny's Child, they have Heidi Klum, they have Jack Black, they have, I mean, there's just Beyonce. They have Sean Combs and Jennifer Lopez. They have Jennifer Lopez's dad. They have Jennifer Lopez's sister. Like they have so many people in these pictures. There's not one picture of Jay-Z at the VMAs with nobody. And they had Aaliyah. So maybe he's so powerful he got these pictures removed, which is not impossible, right? But there's just no picture of him at this VMA. So he wouldn't go to the VMAs, but then he would end up at the party. Like I said, I'm not trying to take sides, but I'm just saying it doesn't make sense. Like, make it make sense, right? Make it make sense, because it doesn't make sense. Um, and so, this girl, the limo driver, and then also she walks into a limousine. How does she even have proof that this is the limousine driver is who he says he is? Like, that it's Sean Combs' driver. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how. And she doesn't say she drove in the limo with them. She says the limo driver drove her back. Was she alone in this car? Were other people in the car? There's just not enough detail. And unfortunately, this is in the court of public opinion. So we are, of course, weighing in on this. But, I feel bad because this woman, um, if she's telling the truth, this is horrible. But at the same time, it's like, this man, Jay-Z, he has a family, right? He has his own family, and he has a business that he's built from the ground up that is literally being destroyed. And Jay-Z is a true billionaire. Like Sean Combs, I don't know if he's a billionaire, but according to Fortune, Jay-Z is a true billionaire. Um, he is worth $2.5 billion, right? And for somebody to just come up and just say and try to hurt him and his family is so hard. It's something that we shouldn't just take lightly. And I'm not saying that this victim isn't right to be out, like if this happened, she needs to demand her her fair share of compensation, right? And we want to see the proof of this. We want to see the proof of this. It's not about what the lawyers are saying. That's what the lawyer claims. But I have to say, this lawyer is not going to go to court unless he has a solid case because he's not going to make any money. And um, that's actually why I feel like the the Jay-Z has a point, right? That, and this is what he wrote in his statement. So we'll read his statement, and we'll talk about that if you guys want to. So he says, my lawyer received a blackmail attempt called a demand letter from a lawyer named Tony Busby. So he says a blackmail, and he puts blackmail attempt called a demand letter, right? Tony Busby says he didn't send any blackmail. He sent a demand letter. But what Jay-Z is saying, that he's not saying he didn't send him a demand letter. He's saying that he knows a snake when he sees a snake. That's what he's saying, right? It's like, call a spade a spade. You're calling a demand letter, but I know what it is. I'm a guy from the streets. That's how I understand his thinking, and that I think is what this man is saying. Jay-Z says, my lawyer received a blackmail attempt, but Tony Busby says, I didn't send you a blackmail attempt. I sent you a standard demand letter. Okay. So if that's standard, then is it something that the law is, we need, something's wrong with our our legal system when standard demand letters feels like blackmail attempt, right? And then you wonder, okay, so who's the woman in that letter? Why isn't she named? Because did she also receive a standard demand letter and re- reciprocated or responded to the demand? So that's why she's not, this letter, this refiling doesn't have her name in it. We wonder. Okay. So he says, my lawyer received a blackmail attempt called a demand letter from a lawyer named Tony Busby. What he had calculated was the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. Yeah, I do believe that this statement is true. That, because that's the whole point of the demand letter, right? Listen, when I went to Chat GPT, okay, and talked and Chat GPT told me, like, because obviously we haven't seen this demand letter, they have not released this demand letter, so we don't know what exactly is in the demand letter. But according to Mr. Busby, it was a standard demand letter. So what does a standard demand letter look like, right? I went to ask our Oracle Chat GPT, and this is what a standard, let me see. Okay, this is what the Chat GPT says a standard demand letter looks must include. So it has to have, okay, standard demand letter key points. Okay, this is what a letter has, and then you guys let me know if this feels uh, how this feels, right? Because according to ChatGPT, the standard demand letter has to have the sender's information, include the full name, address, phone number, and email of the sender. And so it's usually the plaintiff or the attorney, right? So in this case, it wasn't the plaintiff because the plaintiff is anonymous. So the attorney sent this letter. All right. Then the standard demand letter has to have the recipient's information. So in this case, Jay-Z had to include his name, address, contact details of person or entity the letter is addressed to. So it was addressed to Sean Carter, I guess, Rock Nation, whoever knows. The date of the letter, it has to have the date of the letter. The letter is written, sent, establishing a formal timeline, right? It has to have a subject line, the state, the nature of the letter clearly. Example, demand for compensation regarding personal injury. So, what was the subject line of the demand letter? Could it have been interpreted as a blackmail attempt? But Tony Busby is a lawyer, so blackmail has a very specific, is a technical word, right? It's a technical word. He's not using it as, you know, when you like people like us who will use it like, oh my God, she was trying to blackmail me, and they're not talking about really blackmail me, right? It could just be figuratively using it. So it has an introduction. It provides a brief introduction explaining the purpose of the letter, including the legal relationship and the statement of demand. So he got a demand letter. What is the purpose of this letter? Why are you sending Jay-Z a letter, right? Statement of facts. Describe the events or the issues clearly, including the dates, the times, the involved parties, and the supporting evidence. I don't know if it had all this, but it's saying these are elements of demand letters, statements of events or issues clearly including dates, times, involved parties, and supporting evidence. 7, it has to have legal claims and liability. Explain why the recipient is legally liable, referencing relevant laws or breaches, optional but helpful. Okay? Specific demands. It has to have specific demands. Specify the financial amount or the action requested, providing a breakdown of damages if applicable. So Mr. Busby said that they did not ask for money, but so it didn't have money, right? But it has to specify a action, which he said they wanted mediation. Okay, so they wanted mediation, but what do they want to mediate about, right? What do they want from Sean Carter if it's not money? Because what can he give this woman, right? What could he give her other than money um, if he did her wrong? So I get what Mr. Busby is saying. It was a standard letter, and I'm sure he did do it because he's a lawyer. He knows what he's doing. He's won so many cases. He's used to fighting like for the underdog, right? And he fights against big corporations who nobody cares about. But in this case, he's fighting over somebody that people can see, and Jay-Z has fans, right? So it's going to be like a battle of the titans, and we here are just literally watching what people with a lot of money can and resources can do. Now in the case of the woman who's the victim, who's literally I think in the middle of all of this because she's being advised by a lawyer, right? And her hopes is that she's going to win because after all of these years of dealing with this and not getting any relief or whatever, this is her opportunity now to be able to maybe get something out of this, right? And the lawyer, Mr. Busby, is not used to losing, so he's definitely going to try to win. So but a standard demand letter has to request something, and it doesn't have to be about money, which Mr. Busby said they didn't ask him for money, but it has to be action requested providing a breakdown of damages if applicable, and they asked for a mediation. So I guess Jay-Z didn't want to do mediation at all. He didn't want to sit and talk to anybody about any of this. And then it has to have a deadline for response. It has to set a clear deadline, like within 14 days of the letter, you have to respond. And it has to have consequence for non-compliance. If you don't do it, these are the consequences. Um, and it has to explain the failure to respond will result in a specific legal action. So all of these things, because we haven't seen this legal letter, but if it was a standard legal letter, you can understand where Mr. Carter is coming from when he says that it fell, it was black. He called it blackmail. I don't know if it was black. He called it that. In the closing statement, there's a closing statement in a standard demand letter. He has to politely but firmly close the letter, reaffirming the demand and encouraging resolution. And then there's a signature. It includes the sender signature, printed name, and contact details. And then there's attachments, if applicable, attached supporting documents such as medical records, contracts, invoices, or anything or relevant proof. So that is what, according to ChatGPT, is element of a standard demand letter. And I don't know. We don't know what exactly the letter that was sent because nobody released that letter. Um, uh, he thought we don't know what he said. They didn't release that exact letter, but according to Jay-Z, he felt that it was a blackmail attempt. What are Tad is saying? Tad, let's see what. Okay, so let's see what people are saying in the comments section. She walked up to a guy in the limo. He probably said he was Jay-Z, the limo driver. Yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, maybe I don't know. Like, who knows and especially if you're drugged, like she said she was drugged. So, um, was she seeing clearly? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just hard to. Don't you remember a man giving a fake name? Yep, 13-year-old. And don't forget, Jay-Z's team went after those bad cops in Kansas City who just killed himself. Ooh, they can come out to the public and at least make things clear. This is what Yosef Telki is saying. Um, he thought he would pay, and that's not happening. Yeah, that I think that's what's the clash of the titans because Jay-Z's like, okay, you want to go to war, I'll go to war with you, and I'll meet you foot to foot with money because he has a lot of money, right? He definitely has billions of dollars to spend on this, right? And it's going to be a fight that he's not going to be able to back out at this stage because his reputation is on the line. The Tad says Foxy said he never touched her when she was underage, and Rihanna also underage also. So a broke 13-year-old, nobody was exciting, probably looking for one. I mean, like I said, uh, there has to be. I think maybe there's a misunderstanding because we don't have all the facts, right? But Tony Busby, yeah, maybe he's not going to take a case if he doesn't have things that he think he can stand on. So we're gonna see. But at the same time, I don't think Jay-Z's gonna do this if he doesn't feel like he has something he can stand on. So let's continue with his statement. He says, what he had calculated was the nature of the allegations, and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. That is probably a very obvious statement. Yeah, because it's like very uncomfortable. Like the woman who's not named, she probably settled, right? And there's probably this, there were hundreds of cases, and some of these celebrities are going to settle because they don't want to be involved in this mess, right? And they don't have the resources, the time, the money, or whatever. They don't want to get involved, so they probably will settle. But Jay-Z said he's not settling. No, sir. It had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So, no, I am not going to give you one red penny. So, there you have it. Jay Z said that he's not going to give this man one red penny. Um, and he is not giving him one red penny. These allegations, Jay Z continues to write, and this is posted on the Rock Nation account, okay? These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint. Of, implore you to file a part of the bell curve. What does that mean? I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whoever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? These alleged victims would deserve real justice if that were the case. Now, I know a lot of people are harping on the fact, one of my favorite YouTubers, she says, why does he say victims as opposed to victim? But my thought on this is that because Mr. Busby is representing hundreds of victims, so he's just saying like your whole operation is just um, giving ambulance chasing vibes, right? And um, so that's why I think he used the words these alleged victims would deserve real justice if that were the case. I mean, I don't think that's the case for everyone because some of them, for example, have statute of limitations have expired or who knows, but uh, this is the way that Mr. Bugsby. I mean, I don't understand what you mean by part of the bell curve, even if I look it up. What context are you using this? That's my point. Uh, this lawyer, who I've done a bit of research on, so Jay Z is admitting to do research on the lawyer. He basically, I think, had some private detectives, according to Mr. Busby, that he was, he had private detectives come and harass his people, his family. But Jay Z here is saying this lawyer who I've done a bit of research on seems to have a pattern of these types of theatrics. I have no idea how you have come to such a how you've come to be such a deplorable human, Mr. Busby. But I promise you, he promises him, I have seen your kind many times over. I am more than prepared to deal with your type. You claim to be a Marine. Marines are known for their valor. You have neither honor nor dignity. Oof. It's true the average person will show their face. Okay. My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down. One of them, who is at the age where the friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty and greed of people. So Jay Z is saying he and Beyonce are going to have to sit their children down, Blue Ivy, and explain to her that it's a money grab and it's cruelty. And he says, I mourn yet another loss of innocence. Children should not have to endure such at their young age. It is unfair to try to understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirit. Yeah. Yeah, and I think I think this whole thing has been the destruction of families and humanity. Like, if you think of any of this is true, it's like, oh my God, what a world we live in. If none of this is true, oh my God, what a world we live in, right? What a world we live in that innocent people are being accused of heinous crimes. And it does happen. The Central Park Five or whatever, these men were completely innocent. They were taken through the ringer. They were put in jail. They didn't have the money, but they were innocent. So I feel like a lot of people are feeling like, wait, we don't know what to think. We don't want to judge anybody until everybody gets their fair um, day in court. But innocent people have been put to jail. Tony Busby is a lawyer from Houston, Texas. And that's why I feel like, Tony Busby is a very successful lawyer. He wins a lot of cases for a lot of people who actually have no voice, right? He's done a lot of good for people who have been taken advantage of by corporations. And so, when you are a small guy working for a big corporation and they take advantage of you, you need a guy like Tony Busby to help you to get money because you don't have the money to do anything about it, right? You have no money. So this guy, he literally has probably helped a lot of people. And I'm sure there are people who can stand up for him and say, yes, Mr. Busby helped me and my family. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have da 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 da. But at the other side of the coin, you can see that he he um he you can see the other side where it's like especially if he's going after a person with a family and he's destroying this man's life, especially if it's not true, but he believes it to be true. So I don't know, this is tough. This is really tough. So anyway, Jay-Z continues with the letter that he posted on his Rock Nation account. My heart and support goes out to the true victims in the world who have to watch how their life story is dressed in costume for profitability by this ambulance chaser in a cheap suit. I'm sure his suit is not cheap though, is it? Jay, that was a that was a diss. Anyway, you have made a terrible error in judgment, thinking that all celebrities are the same. I am not from your world. I'm a young man who made it out of the project of Brooklyn. So everybody took exception because they said that Jay Z said he's a young man. Well, he's 50 something. What would he say? I'm a man. Anyway, that's an interesting term. I'm a young man. I'm a young man who made it out of the project of Brooklyn. That's how he feels about himself. I'm a young man. He's not a old he's like I'm not an old man. Maybe he's saying I have energy, you know? Like I have energy to fight this. I'm not an old man who can't fight this. I have energy and I made it out of the project of Brooklyn. So, and people who lived in the project of Brooklyn knows exactly what he's talking about. To make it out of the projects of Brooklyn to where he um, is a feat. So he is saying we don't play these types of games. We have very strict codes and honor. We protect children. You seem to exploit people for personal gain. Only your network of conspiracy, only your network of conspiracy theorists, fake psychics will believe the idiotic claims you have levied against me. If not for the seriousness surrounding harm to kids, would be laughable. And then he says, I look forward to showing you just how different I am. And that I I really liked this letter from Jay-Z. What I liked about this letter was um when he says, I look forward to showing you how different I am. And I just feel like, yes, you know, show us how different you are. Show us, one, that this isn't true, that this lady, and I'm not saying that this person, something didn't happen to her, but is she sure about who did this to her? Is she clear about who did this to her? And uh, I like that he talked about his family and how he's going to have to sit and tell his family about this, because I feel like that's something that makes him relatable. And I also have to say that I did not believe Sean Combs when he said he didn't do anything. I thought when I read the case for Cassie, I believed every word she said. She gave details, she gave scenarios. To me, what makes, and I'm not trying to say that I don't believe this victim, this woman who's in this case, but I feel like what what I don't understand is the whole part after getting to the gas station and being rescued by the father. That's the part I feel like, well, why did the father just stop there, right? Because the father obviously knows her age. And if the other people at the party, I don't, did they know this woman's age? Because, it's not like maybe they didn't know her age, right? Um, and I just feel like, you know, this is just what was he supposed to do, because if things worked out like Mr. Busby wanted it, Jay-Z would have paid this demand letter, and then he would have had to accept the guilt, or accept the reality, because he might still have to pay regardless, right? Because if he's found guilty or whatever, he would have to pay. But maybe he didn't just want to sit with that. And then I feel like this shows someone with integrity, right? Um, because of the type of letter that he wrote. I really, 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 really believe in this letter. Um, and I just praying that he doesn't prove us wrong, right? Because I don't want to believe that this black man can do anything like this. I don't want to believe it. Now, am I saying that he can't do it? I just don't want to believe it. I want to believe he's a family man. Yes, okay, he started his life selling drugs, which is not a good thing, but he said that. And it was also maybe his circumstances that led him to that. We don't know um, whether he was hungry, or how like how his mother couldn't pay the bills. I don't know. But a lot of people do things maybe that they're not proud of when they're young. And that doesn't mean they can't evolve or change, but it doesn't mean that he did this thing. He is being accused of it. This woman did file a civil court, but people have been known to lie on other people. So it's not something we can just say like, okay, well, she said it. And I think there's a lot of conversation on social media saying, believe the victims. You have to believe the victims, like regardless, I think they say what Megan the Stallion said, you have to believe the victims, but I think also we have to kind of um, be open to what the victim says, but be open because that's what why we have a court of law, right? And we have a system of justice that says innocent until proven guilty. And we also know that people don't always tell the truth, right? And it can happen that people just outright lie on people. And then there's a lot of other stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff going on. Monique English says true sad for Jay-Z and family. Yeah, I do, especially if he's innocent of this, right? Even if he's not innocent, I'm sad for him. I'm sad like that he did this to himself. You know, like he made a decision 20 years ago that is going to cost him his freedom and his family. You know, because let's say, you know, I don't know, there's so much things said. I mean, people said that Sean Combs drugged everybody and filmed them. So was if Jay-Z did this, was he on drugs? Is the woman watching, were they on drugs? Were they under the influence of some spell? Like it just sounds so fantastical, these stories. It's so hard to believe, it's so hard to process. Um and yeah. So I feel like you know, there's a lot going on. Tony Busby responded to Jay Z's thing and said that Jay Z he wasn't afraid. Let's see what Miss. I mean, I don't know what what Mr. Busby said, but I really actually don't really care what he says, to be honest. Um, I feel like he's gonna do what he's gonna do, right? He's going to do what he's going to do. He is going to move forward with his thing, and I feel like two titans are have come together to, and we're like in, you know, like back in, if you ever watched Gladiator, we are sitting in the stadium and these titans are fighting it out, and this stadium is called social media now, and we're watching this battle unfold, and it's literally the battle of the titans, and there are definitely collateral damage people in the mix. Jay-Z wants the victim to be named, which is probably going to be a huge uh, you know, that's probably going to be hard for her because a lot of people are not going to be happy with this victim, this woman who filed this claim, because they're going to, you know, Jay Z has a lot of fans, Beyonce has a lot of fans. So that's going to be tough if she's named. But at the same time, is this man going to want to have a fight with somebody he doesn't even know? Like, this woman is claiming, I don't even, you know, like he might like I don't recall this incident. I don't even know who this woman is. What, even show me a picture of her? Did they show a picture? Did they give a picture of her at that age? Um at that age in the in this demand letter so that they could even say like, "Oh yeah, that's the girl," because 13-year-old girls don't look the same like they do today. I mean, that's just like how I don't know. We don't know. We're just oh, Reginald Whitaker is not happy with me. He says you sound he says okay, he doesn't like what I'm saying. He says he's like the others. You get a kick out of wrong right for Mike something of your BS show. Okay. Well, that's Reginald's opinion. He's entitled to his opinion as I am entitled to mine. So we're gonna see how this unfolds. We're gonna see how who is right, right? Who 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 is who is at fault. And we just hope that the truth is going to prevail. But I think the only thing that I will say is that money and power can buy you a lot, right? And you can get away with a lot of things when you have money and power. So we shouldn't underestimate that as well, because people who have money have a different justice timeline, obviously. And maybe this is one of those cases. We don't know, but we're not going to pass judgment here. We're going to wait to see what happens. Um, and, uh, and yeah, so that is my opinion. And I thank you guys for joining the live, and leave your comments below if you have further opinions about this. And yeah, thank you for watching. And we're going to say good night. Thank you.